If this is your year to transform your outdoor space into an outdoor oasis, a great place to start is with a perfect patio. This segment is sponsored by Easton Outdoors. Micah Miller is the managing member, and he joins us now to share more on the process. Welcome to HRS.
Hey, thanks for having me.
All right, so you guys are real big on social media. If folks haven't given you guys a follow yet, you need to, because
Absolutely.
one of your videos went viral where you kind of explained the process of putting down a patio.
Correct.
What's it like?
Yeah, so in the video, we actually showed the process of excavating, hauling the soil away, putting down the fabric, then putting the proper base in place. And just this whole process of that video and then laying the pavers, it went bonkers on Facebook. And some people are being critical of how we're doing it, and then other people are saying, man, great job, awesome job. So it's interesting to, anytime you go on social media, seeing what different people's opinions are. But I wanted to talk specifically about the proper way to install pavers in the proper base, because pavers, I feel like, get a bad name after a while because people say, no, they're uneven, weeds grow up in them, I don't like them, they're too much maintenance. In reality, those pavers were probably not installed correctly in the first place.
Oh, so the foundation's important.
Is super important. And so what I really want to point out is just if a patio, even if it's not installed by us, if it has the proper base installed underneath of it, you're not going to have the weeds growing through the cracks. You're not going to have weird shifting and uneven pavers over a period of time. It actually looks great for a long time. And then when there are roots or issues in the soil, that like if a root comes up and causes it, instead of like concrete where it would crack, you just take those pavers out, cut that root out, reestablish your base, and put those pavers back down. So it's a better long term, if you're thinking 10, 15, 30 years, pavers are a good fit for that space.
Oh, wow. So what makes a good base? What are the things that people need to keep in mind when it's being installed?
Yeah, so most important thing, it doesn't seem like it would be, but actually the fabric that goes down first is probably the most important part of the space, because that keeps the subgrade from blending with the actual gravel. So if you keep that dirt from getting out, that kind of protects it, so that gravel actually stays as a gravel space. Mm-hmm. And then the second thing is the depth. So we don't have a super hard frost line here in Virginia. Like if you go up north, you want to have deeper base. If you go down south, you can actually have shallower base. So having like a 6 or 7 inch base is what's necessary here in Virginia. And that base essentially can capture any fluctuations that might happen in the soil, and it gives you a firm place to set the pavers on. So fabric, then your base, and then your pavers going on top of that, and making sure that entire space is compacted as you're going up. So you're not just throwing gravel down, you're actually using like a plate compactor or a vibratory plate that packs in that gravel and makes it nice and hard for the pavers to sit on.
So when someone reaches out to you and they're interested in having a patio installed, pavers installed, what are some of the questions that you ask them to kind of narrow down what their vision is? Yeah,
so the most frequent question I ask is like, what do you see yourself doing out here? Because if you're planning on just being out there with a fire pit, you don't need this super grandiose space. Mm-hmm. Next thing we talk about is, okay, yeah, you're gonna have a table and chair out there. Okay, how do we make sure that there's a space for that table and chair, and we're not wasting square footage, because you're paying by the square foot. So if you're gonna have a certain type of furniture out in that space, you don't need to like make a space 800 square feet. You only need a space that's 600. So just kind of figuring out how it's going to be laid out, and then we spray paint it on the ground so that it can be visualized, and even move the furniture into the space before it's built. So it's just kind of a fun way to figure out how you're going to live in it, set it up how you want to live in it, and then just enjoy it.
So what kind of difference can it make in having a functional outdoor space, having something like this?
Yeah, so the biggest thing I frequently see is not having mud on your feet.
Your indoor space is better when your outdoor space is better.
Absolutely. So it's like this time of year when the ground is freeze thaw, and there's so much moisture, and there's mud being tracked in the house by the dogs and the pets and stuff like that. That's frequently what I hear is kind of like our biggest, like, man, we can set out our furniture, it'll be nice and level, there's no mud on our feet. And then in the spring and summer, it's just the design of the pavers and the ambiance. It kind of sets the stage for having those low light, for having those conversations around a fire pit, for having a meal set out on a patio, on a table and chair setup. So
making those memories.
That's right. That's what it's about. Getting people outside, getting them to be able to enjoy the outdoors, and changing the way they live.
All right, Micah, as always, thanks for joining us on
Absolutely.
HRS.
Thanks for having me.
This segment of the Hampton Road Show is sponsored by Easton Outdoors. They're located at 550 With Creek Road in Pocosin. Give them a call at 757-262-3232 or visit easton-outdoors.com. Check out more photos on social media for inspiration. They're on Facebook and Instagram at Easton Outdoors LLC.